Welcome in, everybody. I appreciate you so much being back with us on Pro Football Plus, a whole bunch of other things that we're going to cover. We are loaded as always. Yusef is here in the house. Shane is here in the house. We've got a whole bunch of things to get to tonight. We're going to lead off tonight with a monologue. I don't usually do that, but we got a comment on YouTube, and we love feedback, man. Anytime we get some feedback, just bring it on. Negative, positive, up, down, in, out. I don't care. Drop it on us. And sometimes it's really sweet, encouraging comments, and that's cool. And sometimes it's show content. So tonight it's show content. I'm gonna lead off with that. We heard from Broken Tubing on our YouTube show last week. He said, I'll read it. This was a strain to listen to about the Lions because they focused on the defense. I am a Lions fan who enjoys constructive criticism, but when the Packer only dude speaks, it shows me how strong the Colts are. Love that part. The Packers have a new DC, and everyone has seen the best of Love now. The Lions owner, GM, head coach have been in place for the last 3 years, and the team has a major leap in records and performance each year. That's from Broken Tube. And Broken Tube, first of all, thanks for hopping in as always. And man, to anybody, drop a comment on us, drop a like on us. Don't drop a like, whatever. And if you want to jump on the show, man, any of you, man, I don't care. Packers fan, Colt fan, Cowboys fan, whoever fan, jump on the show. We're more than happy to have anybody on board. Let me make a couple comments on these things right here. First of all, let's do the Green Bay Colt thing. I haven't heard of a Green Bay Colt. I've never seen a Green Bay Colt, but who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe there is one up there. Maybe there's a cheesehead Colt up there in Wisconsin led by Packers fans who are delusional about what all's going on about their team and take it just a little bit too seriously. Hey, maybe you're right. Or maybe, just maybe, Green Bay's got a good team this year. All right. Now, listen, 3 of our panelists last week picked the Lions to win, and deservedly so. New America's team has everybody rooting for them, and they've got a bunch of things in place, and they're doing a lot of things right, and they got every reason to hope for a Super Bowl. But Green Bay, whether that's big brother or little brother, isn't too far behind. They got some good things going on, too, and some people are going to pick them to win in the division. And if Detroit gets out of the gate slow, or if the Lions have a serious injury somewhere, Green Bay could be sitting right there atop the division, not Detroit. So Green Bay with Jordan Love and a defense and an offense and a pretty stable franchise environment there as well, they could be breathing down their necks as well. So, listen, I know Lions fans and any fan don't like us ripping their team. We're going to do some work on the Jets tonight, so we may do a little bit of ripping on there too. If you're a Jets fan, hold your breath. We're going to be doing some work on that. But tonight, just for you, Broken Tubing, we're going to do a special Lions segment, which we're going to use the Lions offense, I think we said, right? Lions offense to work on a defense. So first topic of the night, using the Lions offense, attack the Cowboys defense or the 49ers defense. Take your pick. Let's roll right into it. Shane, you're up first.
Okay, on my perspective, I went against the 49ers defense because, if we're going to play the Colt game, then I might as well go against the better of the defenses. With Detroit, I'm attacked with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Laporta. I think that's been shown that those two positions can destroy a 49ers defense even when it's cooking. All you have to do is look at Kansas City's Super Bowl victories. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is, if he was 2 inches taller, I think people would talk about him in the highest level as a wide receiver. I think he has some of the best hands in the league, great route runner, has a huge chip on his shoulder for where he got drafted. And I think he attacks the defense exactly where it's weakest for San Francisco. The years where they've had a great pass rush with Bosa and being able to push that, I think with the running game and the short passing game for Detroit, they'd be able to dominate if they have everything clicking.
I like what I'm hearing. I'll come back to it. Yusef.
All right. I'm going to go with the Cowboys defense on this one. This is a tight one. I just kind of felt like the 49ers match up better with the Lions, which is why I picked the Cowboys instead. They got the 1-2 punch of Jameer and Montgomery. The Lions O-line really effective in run blocking and pass blocking. I think they had the third top 3 O-line in terms of run blocking. They only allowed about 29 sacks. So when it comes to them head-to-head against Dallas, I think I seen that last year. I think even the year before as well. The advantage went to the Detroit's rushing defense. And I feel like they got the better of Dak in a lot of spots. that wasn't. I don't think they were as successful in doing that against the Niners. So I'm kind of just picking the lesser of two evils there. I think that they probably have a better run against the Cowboys, even though the Cowboys beat Detroit 16 of the last 27 games. But as far as the rushing defense go, I think they'll be able to have a successful day against the Cowboys defense as opposed to the Niners defense.
Two of the better defenses on the NFC side for sure. I'm going to start with the Cowboys here. If I've got the Lions offense, I'm going to run the football first on this Cowboys defense because I know the Cowboys are going to try to get upfield on me on the edges. So I'm going to hit the Cowboys hard right up the middle. I want to run, and then I'm going to start to peel off to Amon-Ra St. Brown and to the tight end. That's going to be, I'm going to work from the inside out. If I'm going up against the 49ers defense, on the other hand, though, I'm going to start with Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can kind of see it in last year's game. I really want Amon-Ra St. Brown to get off and get off quick. So that means quick passes. That means the jet sweeps. That means the side screens, all of it. I'm going to do everything with Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then I'm going to turn the ball over to the running game and start to kind of mix things up that way if I'm going up against the 49ers defense. Lions, though, rest assured, broken tubing, no disrespect. We love your Lions. They've got every right to think they can win a Super Bowl. But last week was attack mode, and the Lions were the target. So this week it'll be the Jets. We'll get to them here in just a second. Let's start off with this week's
guy was. Who was Packers guy? Who was that?
Oh, yeah, by the way, yeah, we've never had a Packers fan on here. We've got a New England fan. We've got a Giants fan. We've had a Browns fan. We've had a Vikings fan, a Commanders fan. Never had a Packers fan either. So
I don't think anybody.
But I love the Colts of Green Bay.
Okay. Just curious.
Yes, no, I don't know who that was, but the Colts of Green Bay is awesome. I'm going to definitely reference that on future episodes. So thank you, Broken Tubing.
I did pick them to win, so you're talking about me?
Hey, maybe it was you. Maybe you're a Packers fan in hiding.
No, I am not. Cheese goes in here, not on here.
The Colts is calling you, Seth.
Oh, brother. One of us.
Topic number 3 for the night. We're going to predict the records of each team in the AFC East. So Bills, Jets, Dolphins, Patriots. Pick the records, Yusef. I'm going to go to you first.
Oh, man. I go from last to best.
Yes.
Pat 4-13. Honestly, I think they make a couple of strides. I think that even though they don't have big names popping off of the page, I think they're a little bit better because of what they did in the draft. So Pats 4-13, got the Bills at 10-7. They were really mercurial last year. I don't think that changes when they're losing their number one wide receiver. I think it's going to hurt them. Got the Jets at 11-6, and the Dolphins round out at 12-5. I think that they haven't done enough on the defensive side to change what they did last year, and they have probably one of the easiest schedules this year too. So I think 12-5 is pretty easy for them. I don't see them getting beyond that until you fix the defense, which they have not done. So not expecting much, but yeah.
Yusef, I love it. Everything you put down. I can already tell we haven't even touched on the Jets yet, and you didn't pick them to win the division. We're going to hear from Jets fan next week, guaranteed.
They ain't win no division.
All right, Shane.
So I'll reverse from Yusuf, but we have quite a few in agreement. I think Dolphins are sitting at 12-5 this year. I think if they had stayed healthy defensively in the playoffs last year, they could have wreaked havoc. The offense is going to continue to score points. The healthy defense comes through. I think they'll easily win the East. I have the Bills and the Jets tying at 10-7. I think if you're the Bills, you've lost too much offensively. Wide receiver, I think the offensive line is going to be a huge problem for them. Mitch Morse in the middle. I mean, Allen is a quarterback that likes to stand in there and take hits. And if your center position isn't prepared for that, you're in deep. The Jets, I mean, this really depends on if we're talking about Colts here. This really depends on if the Coltish quarterback can make his way through the season. They have some talent on offense. They have some talent on defense. Just recently said that he's not showing up to mini camp. I mean, he's had the years in, but if I didn't get to play with my team all year, I'd probably like to see him show up. As a Patriots fan, it obviously hurts me to say this, but I actually go 3-14 for them this year. I do not think it is going to go well across the board. I know Austin will vouch against me on this, on what May can do, but I think he's going to get pummeled, even if he's ready to play. The Patriots are not good anywhere this year. Offensive, defensive. I even think special teams is going to be a tough push for them this year. So I picked them to easily be the worst team in the East this year.
Wow. Okay. I'm with you on everything you guys are saying. I don't think this is an easy division to pick, but I didn't expect to be in the minority here, but here I am. I've got the Dolphins sitting at 10-7. Biggest reason, it's not that I don't like them. I do. I just thought that they lost Robert Hunt on the offensive side, Christian Wilkins on the defensive side, lost another couple of other more defensive pieces. So I took them just a step back, even though I do like the Dolphins. So I got them at 10-7. I've got the Patriots at 4-13. Shane, for all the reasons you already mentioned. I like where they're going, but I think it's going to take them time to get there. And that may even be another season and off season before they really get this thing in gear. So I've got the Patriots at 4-13. I've got the Jets at 11-6, actually winning the division. I didn't pick a team to actually get in the 12-13 win category. I think the whole division's pretty tight. And I got the Bills sitting at 11-6 too, just barely losing out on the division, but making the playoffs. I do think the Bills are still going to be a tough team. I don't think they're going to be quite as good as they have been the past, say, 3 seasons, but I don't think Buffalo's going anywhere. I just see too much talent sitting there on that. All right, so I told y'all we were going to target the Jets tonight. And if there's any Jets fans listening, listen, we're not trying to pick on your team. We are just, as the offseason goes through, we're looking at several different teams with the eye of a GM, with the eye of an opposing coordinator, with the eye of somebody in the opposition to try to pick them apart and see where we can accomplish something. So tonight, topic number 4, GM mode. If you're the general manager of the Jets, what position or position group are you most hoping the coaches can scheme for? So I put in a little bit of an asterisk. We can't pick Aaron Rodgers because I think we would all pick that, right? Coming off the injury, he's kind of the savior. He's the one who really everything starts and ends with. So we can't pick Aaron Rodgers. But aside from that, Yusef, I'll go to you first, man. What position group are you hoping the coaches can scheme up for here?
Well, they definitely have a tackling problem against the run, but I think the tackle is going to be the area that they have some unresolved issues with, particularly their left tackle. I think they're trying to bank everything on Fashanu, which is like somebody I liked in the draft, but it's like that's unreasonable. Historically, rookie tackles usually make 10 penalties per every 1,000 snaps. So they're at the bottom of the league most times in their first year. So expecting him to come in and make an impact because Tyron Smith is injured and probably injured right now, and they got a lot of injury issues on the line. It's an unreasonable expectation. So I don't see that. I mean, coaches want to fix that, but I don't think they can resolve that in 1 year because they got all these Asian tackles on the line, and then you expect this rookie to come in and basically take over. I mean, he got flash. He got something to pick him first in the first round, but I think it's a hard nut to crack to have him come in and protect Rodgers on the level that he needs to be protected on coming off of an injury. So that's the area that I think I'm most concerned about. The coaching need to scheme for that part.
Shane.
I mean, 100% agreement with Yusuf for all the reasons he mentioned. I think the key point that he hit on is being a rookie tackle in the NFL is like no other position other than back. Because when you're playing left tackle in college, third game, that best defender is the person who's lining up over the top of you every single week in the NFL. They can speed rush, they can power. As Yusuf said, you're coming off an injured quarterback already. Even when he wasn't out there, they didn't protect any of the other quarterbacks that played for the Jets. And you didn't make anything other than that draft pick to increase what your offensive line could do. I think they have solid wide receivers and a solid run game, but the problem is starting with 2 defensive linemen 3 yards in your backfield. I don't care what you're doing on any of those offensive plays. They're going to blow it up real quick, and your quarterback's going to take hits, and that's not what he's here for anymore, you know?
Yeah.
No, no, he's not. We want 0 hits on Aaron Rodgers this year if you're a Jets fan. I'm obviously right there with both of you. I just put the offensive line in general. O-line was my number one concern for the Jets heading into last season. Ultimately, it didn't matter. I say it didn't matter since Aaron Rodgers went down second, third play of the whole season. It kind of blew everything up right then. They've made moves to try to strengthen it. So you got Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses both there. I like that. I really, really like that a lot. But boy, age and injury just waiting. I mean, just waiting to jump on both of those guys. I love Fashanu coming out of the draft. I really, really love him. But man, he's a rookie. So, you know, it's going to take some time to pull that in. You got Max Mitchell there who can contribute. I love Elijah Vera Tucker. He's just really a solid guy, but he's had trouble staying healthy. So anytime he's on the field, and I especially love him when they just push him over to guard and leave him there. Don't try to swing him out the tackle. I love him. But, you know, he's one guy and he's got to stay healthy. So that's a problem. John Simpson is really, you know, he's going to get a lot of snaps probably, but he's really not the answer there at guard. I like Joe Tippmann at center, but only second year. So still some things to try to kind of work through there. So they got pieces, but boy, it's either so young or so old or so injured. One of the three. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm fingers crossed all the way, man. I'm like, man, I'm hoping this could stick together because everything else looks pretty good. Defense is stout. If Aaron Rodgers is even just, you know, 85% Aaron Rodgers, that's good. Got running game. I mean, everything else checks out basically. So it really is ultimately the big thing seems to be the offensive line. So fingers crossed. Can't fix everything, but if I'm the Jets GM, that's my number one concern. Number 5, still in the NFL. Today we're attacking the Jets offense. We're going to use the Bills, Dolphins, or Patriots defense. You can pick. Doesn't have to be the best one, just the one that you want to use and work with tonight. Shane, I'm going to let you pick first, man.
I went with the Dolphins D on this, kind of for what we talked about before. I think they do have a talented pass rush. The problem for them was injury. And if they come through healthy, I think that's where you attack the Jets. Get pressure early and often. And I think the Dolphins can do that. And the other thing is they're going to score enough points. That's always going to put your offense in a position where you feel like you need to come away with a touchdown. And when you're always planning your offense around that, it doesn't leave you any room for error. So if you try to get cute and you hold on to the ball a little bit longer to try to break somebody open, that's when your quarterback gets hit. And we've talked about this for the Jets. Everything revolves around the quarterback. They need to protect him. If he stays up, that's a NFL MVP, Super Bowl champion. If he's hit and looking backwards, he's going to bring this team down. He is a guy that when he's not having a good day and it's not going well for him, he is going to let everyone know about it.
It's a great point. I love to be aggressive. Generally, I am aggressive. I actually went the opposite, picked a different defense just for something different, but I'll get to that in a second. Yusef, which defense and how you attacking?
I'm with Shano, man. I picked the Dolphins. Most of the reasons are the same. I think part of what they did last year was kind of fool's gold. Their defense was 10th in the league, but it didn't feel like they were a 10th ranked defense, especially when it mattered. I feel like they stacked those numbers early in the season when they were blowing people out, and when they got late in the season, they kind of maintained their or dropped their ranking, but still stayed in the top 10. Because they added a whole bunch of bodies this year, a lot of experienced guys on the defensive side of the ball, like Jordan Poyer and Shaq Barrett and people like that. They even added a few new defensive tacklers, but right now it kind of feel just like bodies they added.
Mm-hmm.
They get the second and third fastest edge defenders at the combine and Robinson and Kamara. That was smart to do that. I think they recognized that they had an issue with their defense and they got some guys that are fast in the pass rush game, bring pressure quickly on the quarterback. They need to have that. That's going to help the defensive state of everything. So I kind of feel like you got guys like Kendall Fuller and Ramsey that are there. It's fine, but they got to do it in spots that matter. And I don't know if these guys that he brought in are going to do that. Can't even predict it right now. Kind of just wait and see if all these guys, because they brought in a whole bunch of guys to overcompensate for the last season's defense, but I can't tell what they're going to do until they get in game and see they actually play well together. They mesh together well, and they're effective, especially in them high spots. That's where the Dolphins really drop the ball. It's in the crucial minutes, in those crucial plays. They didn't show up. So 10th ranked defense, but didn't seem like it.
Yeah, the Dolphins remind me a little bit of how the Rams were built, like in 99, 98, 2000. It's, hey, we're going to try to score a whole bunch of points. And then on defense, we're going to try to fast track you with those edge rushers, kind of like Leonard Little used to do back in the day for the Rams. We're going to hope we get some turnovers, and we're hoping to outscore you and just really put pressure on you. I like it. It's just a little bit different. I went with the Buffalo Bills defense, because it's still going to be pretty good. Now, it's not going to be the same. They've lost some people, especially at safety. I still like their defensive back. Their cornerback's pretty good. Not great, but pretty good, pretty solid cornerbacks there I like. Safety's going to be pretty shallow, so I don't like that. They've still got a pretty solid defensive line, and I like that. So what I'm going to do with the Bills defense, at least for, say, game one, I'm actually going to back completely off. I am going to dare Aaron Rodgers to actually run the football. Now, Tom Brady made a living doing that because he was so intelligent, like a coach on the field. I'm going to dare Aaron Rodgers to have the patience to do that. So I'm going to drop 7 or 8 into coverage. I'm going to protect my safeties who aren't as good as they have been in years past. It's a clear drop down talent-wise. I'm going to allow my cornerbacks to kind of help out my safeties. We're going to drop the linebackers back. And I'm really going to challenge Aaron Rodgers to find somebody. Now, listen, if he's healthy, he's got the arm. He can find somebody. I don't care if they're double or triple covered. He can put it into these tight windows. He's that good. But I'm going to put the pressure on him to do that. Another reason I like that, too, is because the Buffalo Bills, whether it's 3 guys or 4, they can get pressure on the quarterback almost every time. It may not be within, 2.5 seconds, but they are coming. You can't take all day against that Buffalo Bills defensive line. They are eventually going to get there, so Aaron Rodgers still wouldn't have unlimited time. So that's where I'm going to start at. I'm going to back off. I'm going to make it very difficult for Aaron Rodgers to find free spaces to throw into. I'm going to dare him to run the football. If he adjusts, then I'll adjust, and that'll be the way we run it. So anyway, that's my attack on the Jets offense, and we'll do a different team next week. And I enjoyed that. I really love what you guys are putting out there. So, all right, next up is our 10-5-1 series, and tonight it's $100 only. So, man, you can make up a lot of ground in a hurry. You can lose a lot of ground in a hurry when you're dropping 100 at a time. That's what we're doing, 100 at a time. Tonight, I'm going to let the guys pick. So it's either NBA Finals, Game 3. You want to pick the winner there, or you can pick NHL Finals, Game 3, pick the winner there, either or, $100 no matter what. Shane, you're up first.
This was kind of a tough one for me because both of the teams I picked to get the victories in the first went through, and then have been dominant in those 2 games. So it made it tough for me. But I went with the NBA Game 3, and I picked the Celtics. I've seen Jason Tatum have a terrible game and them still win easily. Dallas just doesn't look ready to go. And I think for the NHL game, if that was the game to pick, I think at some point Edmonton needs to wake up and get a little bit of offensive going. And if you're returning home, this is the opportunity. I think in the NHL, it's a much bigger home court, home ice advantage than it is in the NBA on night to night.
Fair enough. Youssef?
All right, I'm staying away from the NHL game. I don't know where that's going. That's a really tough option to pick. I'm going with Dallas for the whole 100. Home court advantage is going to be huge here. I know that it's very clear. You can even see it in their body language. The Mavs are tired. Like we talked about last week, the Celtics had time to rest. The Mavs didn't. The gap between games 2 and 3 are usually longer than anything else most times. So there's enough time for them to kind of recoup and get some rest. And I think they realize if they don't know, somebody better tell them they got to win this game. Because if they don't, it's virtually a wrap. There's no way they're going to go 4 straight. I just don't see it. As good as the Mavs are, I don't see it happening. So I'm putting a whole 100 on it. They have to win this game. So I'm going with the Mavs to win games 3. After that, I have no idea what's going to happen. But game 3 at least, it should get the W on that one. It should do that emphatically at least, hopefully.
I'm really hoping Dallas gets this thing turned around. I don't expect them to win the finals, but I at least want them to pick it up for a game or 2.
That'd be nice.
throw in some scoring and at least make Boston sweat this out a little bit. At this point, I just expect Boston to win the finals. But come on, Dallas. I mean, get it in gear. Just do something.
You don't want to win like that. You don't want to just go out there and sweep in the finals.
No,
That's
don't do that, man.
no fun.
That's no fun. Come on. So I really want Dallas, but for my pick tonight, I'm picking the Panthers. Edmonton obviously can win that game, but I just honestly feel like the Panthers are that much better than Edmonton right now. I really do. Now, they were sloppy in game one. There's no question about it. Panthers were sloppy. Their goaltender saved them. But I really just do overall feel like, having watched these teams the past 6 weeks, the Panthers are just that much better than Edmonton. So I'm picking the Panthers to actually win game 3 and maybe Edmonton for game 4, barely avoiding the sweep. I just really like the way the Panthers are playing. I like the way they're built. They seem hungry, which is not always easy to stay, coming off of some of the losses that they've taken. And they really seem physical, too. Like, they really just seem like they've got everything cooking here. So I'm picking Panthers here for game 3 in the NHL finals. No WNBA this week unless you'll have it in your final 60, but we will probably have some next week. We just had a bunch of other things to get to. Next, Father's Day is coming up. Tonight, we're going to take a great memory or moment of dad, or you can talk about a grandpa or a son, an uncle, or just somebody you looked up to, however you want to take it. Yusef, I know you talked about your dad a lot last week or the week before, so feel free to do whatever you want to, and you got it lead on off.
All right. Well, I don't want to be the killjoy, but my experiences are not, excuse me, as great as everybody else's probably is. But one thing that was really cool when I was growing up, this was before I got a chance to really know him very well. Found an old picture. I think we were cleaning up some stuff in our house and found an old picture of him singing on a stage. I don't know if it was a nightclub or what it was. He was singing on the stage in my younger years. I said, I was a singer very early in life, but my mother couldn't sing a lick, and grandma couldn't sing. I'm like, hey, grandpa didn't sing. Like, nobody sung that I knew of. Like, since I didn't know him, he was kind of the X factor. Found out that he sang. Oh, that's why I got her from. So it was really cool to be connected. That I got it from somewhere, and where I got it from, and maybe kind of infatuated with knowing about his life more. It led to us getting to know each other and developing a relationship before he passed away. So it was a pretty cool story. But yeah.
No, I love that, man. And I will say, quick, Yusef, to the audience, not everybody gets a great dad. And some of us get great dads who are just different. They are built different. They're not all lovey-dovey, cozy, that kind of a thing, connecting. So we all have different parents, different dads, whatever you got. Life is different for each of us. So I appreciate you sharing on that. Shane.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I tried to think of a single moment, and I really couldn't pick one up. What really sticks out to me about my father is, I mean, he's the reason why I follow any of the sports I follow. That was always something interesting for him. He was a hard worker, spent a ton of time, outside of the house, traveling, working. But when he was home, that was something we all got to be around, my brother and I. I mean, he's a huge portion of why I got into coaching. I actually started coaching at the school he graduated from, which was my biggest rival at the high school I went to. So, I mean, pure reason was the upper side of my family was why I coached at that school that I did. And even as a coach, my father still was there, for those Friday Night Lights football games. Had a chance to bring a team to the Final Four in baseball. And my family, both my father and my mother, always supported me. So I mean, it's the support that means everything. Like you said, Ben. My dad was a guy that later in his life always made sure to say, I love you and things like that. But I always knew he had my back. He wasn't always going to say like, great job or anything like that. But if he wanted to talk to me about how something went, that let me know that he paid attention to what was going on. And we had some, I want to say great, but also very interesting conversations coming back from games on how I played or how something should have been done. So,
I'm telling you, listen, great dads or even good dads, solid dads look so different from one family to the next. There is no one way to do it. So, if you're a dad out there listening, man, do it your way. Put as much thought into it as you can, as much time into it as you can, and let the results be what they are. Because each dad is going to play a little bit different. My dad was tough as nails. Now, he was never part of the military, and he wasn't big on, say, fisticuffs. Like, he wasn't looking for fights. But you talk about a guy with an incredibly high pain threshold, tough as freaking nails, kind of like the old World War II, not vets, but the World War II generation of just that hard work, tough as nails, no nonsense kind of guy. That was my dad. And, we weren't always close or tight or, lovey-dovey, but he was just solid as a rock. And boy, I tell you what, the work that he put into just everything. I don't care if it was 100 degrees outside. He worked outside all the time, or if it was 10 degrees outside, boy, he was just tough, tough, tough. One time he tore every single ligament in his knee while he was out in the woods on a motorcycle. Nobody around to help. He climbed back on the motorcycle, drove the freaking thing out of the mountains. He was miles from anywhere. Never told any of us, went and got the surgery done himself. The only reason we found out about it was because he had to have a driver to and from the hospital. And I got elected for that, of course. But you talk about a guy that's tough as nails. He was. One specific memory I do have of him, and listen, he passed away last summer due to Lou Gehrig's and had a really, really tough road the last 5 years of his life. But one specific memory I do have of him is the baseball card shop. So I was a kid in 89, 1990. Baseball card shops were still all over the place, and my dad hated sports. I don't say hated. He just didn't care. You could get rid of every single North American sports that there was, and he would never miss it. But he knew I liked it. So he would take me every 2 to 3 months with my $5 or $10 worth of allowance down to the baseball card shop, and he would sit there for an hour, a whole hour, while I would go around and look at every single card in that shop, trying to pick out which one I could actually buy. And so I really, really appreciated that, because even though he didn't care about sports, he knew I did. So he made sure to take me there when he could. And that's just a really special memory, something that he sacrificed his time for, usually on a Saturday, because he'd work his butt off all week and on a Saturday. So anyway, that's my one specific memory for my dad. And I really, really love and appreciate him and his memory for that. So, all right, it is time for our final 60. Take it wherever you want to go. Shane, you're up.
For my final 60, a sport that I think doesn't get enough publicity a lot of times around this time of year, and that's college baseball. I love the run to Omaha. I think it's great to have a college sport where you know that that's going to be where the championship is played every single year. The nice run that you can have almost every single year, you'll have a team that's, one of the lower seeds, maybe a smaller school that makes a run. But I think it's great to see what those college kids do. It's a great level of baseball. Also, you're getting a chance to see some of those guys that will be those top picks in Major League Baseball. But I can always remember, I know living up north, kids are all still in school up here. I know it ends a little bit sooner in the South. So I would always come home when I was a kid, flip on ESPN, try to catch LSU versus Florida State. It'd be a 14-13 baseball game, and just listen to the ping of aluminum bats as it flied around Nebraska. So, something always stuck in my head. There's my 60.
Yeah, I remember watching Wichita State back in the day too, man. It seemed like every year they were up there. Arizona State back in the day too. Yeah.
Ghost Chalkers.
Yes. Yes.
Wichita.
Stanford had quite a run there in the early 90s where they were hitting up a lot. Yeah. Watched a lot of that. So a lot of times, man, people that they don't know, back in the day, there wasn't anything else on. Like, you're dying for anything to watch because there's no football, there's no basketball, there's no hockey. By the time you get to say late, early July, mid-late June, nothing else on. You're just looking for anything. And college baseball a lot of times was what was on Saturdays and Sundays. You Steph, your final 60.
All right, I'm going to take Austin's place in honor of him today. I'm going to talk about a movie.
Yes, do it, man.
For the first time in 4 years, I found myself inside of a movie theater. I kind of had a self-imposed ban. I wasn't going to do it anymore, especially after the past 3 years and all the crazy that our country has endured. So I was tired of high prices, sticky substances, and people bringing whiny infants to an R-rated movie. I just got tired of all of that. So I didn't want to go through it. But the movie, I want to go see Bad Boys Ride or Die. So my niece and nephew and my wife. The movie was really good. Some real questionable scenes. I felt like they had a refusal to build on personal stories. somebody just got married and they were like strangers in the movie. I'm like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So they kind of lean more on the high impact car crash and shoot 'em ups. They weren't really good. The whole franchise wasn't really good at gunfight scenes anyway, so it wasn't any different in this movie. It wasn't great what's going on, and they went out of the way to avoid new and creative in this. They kind of didn't. They avoided the riskiness and being spontaneous. They kind of just leaned on what they did before. So if you were a fan of the franchise and you like that stuff, it's fine. But if you watching it for the first time and you're not really familiar, but you know a little bit about it, you might be disappointed. But they had terms like surprise to explain the movie, but no surprises were really happening. No shocking moments. Everything was pretty predictable, but good movie overall. It was entertaining, and out of a movie, that's what you want, right? You want to get some bang for your buck and be entertained. It was a very entertaining movie. I'm going to say it was probably the second best of all of the Bad Boy franchises. It's not the first. I will call it the second, which I think is decent because the third one was not good to me.
Well, you answered my question. I love movie theaters, love them. I would go every other week with my family if I could afford it. I can't afford that, so we don't. We do the $4 stream whenever it comes out on streaming, right? So it's a whole lot cheaper. But I love the theaters. But I was going to ask you, are you glad that they went for it again and did this again? But it sounds like they really did a pretty good job on this, all things considered.
Yeah, I'm glad they did it. I wish I would say it was the last one, because that would make a lot more sense. Because it's hard to come back from what happened. Once you see it, you recognize what I'm talking about. It's hard to go to a part 5 or a 5th installment after what just not. Some movies you have to stop when it gets good. There's nowhere else. There's nothing but cliff left over. There's nowhere else to go here. So, Bad Boys, nothing but cliff over here. There's nowhere else to go. You can't do it. You can't go to space. There's nothing else left. This is it. But they didn't say it was the last movie, so I'm like, oh my God, what are they going to do now? So, I mean, these guys are old. They hardly even move well. Even the stunt guys look at it, they move well. I'm like, this is not a good situation. You can't have a 5th one, but they might try to do one anyway. But yeah, weird. Very, very
if the
weird.
money's there, they shouldn't. But if the money's there, they will.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm jokingly gonna ask y'all a question I did last week, and I know what the answer is gonna be. Do y'all want to hear another Caitlin Clark take, or do y'all want to hear a Netflix review? Shane?
I'm gonna go Netflix review. I'm okay with Caitlin Clark not being in the Olympics, so let's hear about Netflix.
Yusef?
I'm gonna go with Shane on that one because we talk Caitlin Clark on our show every week, so I need to save it for that. So we'll go with
I knew
that.
y'all were going to say that. I'm actually okay with Caitlin missing the Olympics too, but I won't touch on that tonight. Okay. Netflix review. I love documentaries, especially if they're, listen, not your old, dull, dry as dust documentaries. I don't care for those, but Netflix does a pretty good job of trying to do something interesting and fun. Dancing for the Devil. I don't know when it came out, but it's fairly recent, I think, is a documentary about what they called a cult out in California. It involved a lot of dancers. It involved TikTok. It involved Instagram. It involved some form of a church trying to pull dancers in and make them famous. There was a lot of complications going on here. It had all the earmarks of cults that cults usually have. And so, in honor of Broken Tubing earlier and the Cult of Green Bay, go check out the cult on Netflix. It is
Full
called
circle.
Dancing. Yes, full circle. Dancing for the Devil. It's not the best doc ever. There are stretches where it gets a little boring, but still, I'll give it a B. I really liked it, so go check it out if you're interested in that sort of thing at all. The whole thing is, matter of fact, the situation, if you will, is not resolved. It's not as if there is closure on this. This is kind of an ongoing thing. So they just brought it up to speed to where it is today. And if this thing ever, blows up or has some kind of an ending, some kind of closure, I'm sure in a year or 2, 3 years, whenever, Netflix will produce a second thing on this. So anyway, I love that kind of stuff. I'm big on watching people not everything labeled a cult is a cult, but I'm always interested in people who get tied up into things that maybe other people, more normal people, tend to not get caught up into. I'll put it that way. It's always fascinating to me. Go check it out over on Netflix. We're done. Anybody else with anything before we shut it down for the night?
This was fun, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for
My
watching. Have a
favorite
great
cult
night.
is the cult of personality. I'll say that.
Thank you, Shane.
First 5 seconds is killer.
Exactly. Just a great song. And as someone who I know does follow wrestling as well, Yusuf, I mean, when CM Punk would start that up at a live show, that was electric. So to start everybody going.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody, thank you for watching. If you're a Jets fan, hit us up. If you're a Lions fan, hit us up. If you're a Packers fan, hit us up. Whoever fan you are, hit us up on comments or jump in on the show at some point. Have a great one. Goodbye.